This is Sports Jam. I'm Doug Doyle. There's big news when it comes to women's collegiate flag football, thanks to a big investment from the New York Jets. My guest today is Callie Brownson, the Senior Director of High Performance and National Teams with USA Football, the New York Jets flag football advisor, and former assistant coach with the Cleveland Browns. Great to have you on the show, Callie.
Thank you for having me.
Big news indeed. The Jets and the Eastern College Athletic Conference, the ECAC, launching a first of its kind and largest collegiate women's flag football league. And the league will begin playing in the spring of this year and will kick off. There's a media day at MetLife Stadium this week. Regular season games will be played through April on campus sites. 6 to 8 teams will qualify for a playoff tournament that will be played at MetLife Stadium in May. I know you have to be really excited about this announcement.
I am. No, it's really amazing. Super excited for who this is going to impact. Really grateful, obviously, to work with the organization, with the Jets and everything that they're doing, all the work they're doing. So we're really excited. The future is bright.
So you have all kinds of experience, obviously, not as a coach, not only as a coach, but a player. And so you've played this game, but flag football, you've played regular football. You were a running back and you were a safety. But when it comes to flag football, this is a sport that a lot of people can get behind and can really, see if their skills match up. Is this why you wanted to get involved with flag football from the beginning?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a component of it. It was a mixture of things for me. We call it an emerging sport, but I think it's arrived, to say the least. Everybody's talking about it. It was just something and a community and a group and a fast-growing sport that there was just a lot of excitement around. I've been following flag football for a long time, and did some work in the youth and the high school football spaces for years. And when this opportunity presented itself, especially when you start talking about the Olympics and we're talking about football in the capacity of flagging in the Olympics, it was just something that I felt passionately about and wanted to be involved and be a part of this historic moment that we're sitting in and do what I could to continue to create opportunities for young girls. Now we're talking high school girls, collegiate girls, and then obviously now you can go represent your country.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the commercials and during the course of the NFL season and during the Olympics about flag football and coming to the Olympic Games, thus the even more excitement. But this league will be extra special, and there are a lot of local colleges that are involved in this in the ECAC. Tell us about how the league really came together for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has been, in the works and kind of working for a while and much needed as we talk about the pathway. So a lot of work's been done. We've seen it grow significantly at the youth and the grassroots level, collegiate or high school level. It continues to grow statewide as it gets sanctioned through states. We're in 2026 now. We'll be at 20 states where it's sanctioned in no time. We're rapidly approaching that number. And so one of the missing pieces of the pathway really is the collegiate side. So that's a big piece of it. And to be able to create opportunities now that it's at the place that it is at the high school level, for these young girls and these young women to have an opportunity to get a scholarship to go play the sport that they love instead of having to kind of stop their journey there, was really, really important. And when this came about and the conversation came about with the ECAC and obviously the Jets' involvement in that, it's a no-brainer because this is a big move. This is a big opportunity. It's going to impact so many women who can continue their education at a high level and play their sport at a high level. So it's just such an essential piece of the pathway for this to kind of bridge that gap between high school and then obviously the national team level. But just really, really excited about it. And again, this is just going to impact so many women and create an opportunity that didn't exist before. And I think it's really, really incredible.
Some of the teams that we're talking about, the local teams like Kane University, FDU, Montclair State University, even we have campuses like Penn State Schuylkill in Pennsylvania, and eventually we'll have Caldwell College from New Jersey that will be joining in 2027, along with Union College in Schenectady, New York. And this is right here in front of the women athletes who are desiring to be a part of this flag football phenomenon. It's 7-on-7. What's the biggest differences other than the obvious when it comes to flag football, Callie?
Yeah, I mean, what we've found is there's actually a lot of differences, right? And it's interesting. Obviously, you take the tackling out of it. That's the obvious. That's the glaring one. But because of that, there's so many unique movements in flag. You have to do flag evasion without being able to stiff arm, and you obviously have to pull flags without being able to tackle and take somebody down in that capacity. So it's unique in the sense that it's faster. The space and the dimensions of the field are different, which changes the nature of the fundamentals and the techniques of the game. So, I always encourage people, the best way to witness it is to witness it and to come and see it because there's so many unique aspects. It's not just throwing the ball and catching the ball. And, a lot of people, of my age, when we hear flag football, sometimes we go back blast to the past. It's not that flag football that we remember from our childhood. It is elite. It is fast. It takes a lot of skill and a lot of skill that we don't see across other sports in order to do it. So, like I said, my advice to people is, if you can't make it out to game, jump online and look it up because you'll be impressed. It's different than anything you've watched before.
Speed. It's become a huge factor in all sports, but it really is the deciding factor in flag football, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. It's a fast game, and speed kills based off of the way that the game is put together. And when we talk about speed, speed comes in so many different facets, right? It's not just straight line speed. It's quickness, it's agility, it's involved in a lot of the different aspects of the game. But looking at players, the ones who are dominant in the sport, it's athlete on athlete, and speed's gonna win when that's the competition.
You obviously believed in all of this because you joined USA Football after a stint with the Cleveland Browns, and that just gives you an indication of, you know, the passion that you have about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of what I alluded to earlier, it's the passion for the sport, the passion for the people that play it. I mean, again, that's another thing towards flag football. When you get around an event, when you're around, these young women, these young girls from the youth level all the way up, they're just so passionate and they're just so excited that football is their sport, and they're taking their sport and owning it and they have a space in it. So that was just a really powerful thing for me, to be a part of. And then, to be able to do things like we're doing right now, where we're creating opportunities at a high level. I mean, we're talking about collegiate flag, and I wanted to help. I wanted to be a part of something like that, where we were literally changing the landscape of a sport. And how often in your lifetime do you get to be a part of the front end of something and build it the right way and have a role in building it the right way? And I just felt very drawn to that.
You've been a trailblazer for quite some time. When you not only as a Division One coach, but in the NFL, how much pride do you take in that?
Um, when you get into it, you don't ever really intend to be the first or any of that. But somebody has to be the first. I was lucky because I had just a lot of really great people behind me. The people that I worked with at the time, the people that I worked for at the time, really, were very supportive of me and saw, the need for change in a lot of ways, whether that be in the tackle space or obviously what we're doing now in the flag space. So, I just wanted to make it a better world for those who came behind me, an easier world for those that came behind me who either wanted to work in football or now play. That's the way I always saw it was, my journey, my career, was going to open the door wider for others to come behind me. And I always wanted that when I was younger. I didn't really have a lot of female role models in the space of football, didn't have any. And I just didn't want, I always think about just a young girl who thinks about what she wants to be when she grows up. I don't want it to take her 20 years before that opportunity even becomes an idea in her head. I want her to be able to think about that stuff right now and desire to play or coach or officiate or scout or whatever she wants to do. So I just see it as an opportunity to encourage, girls and remind them that they have a space in the sport of football.
You are not just talking the talk, you walk the talk. You played for the DC Divas in the Women's Football Alliance for 2010 to 2017. Free safety, running back, as I mentioned. You won two championships. You won two gold medals in the United States Women's National American Football Team. What attracted you to the game of football early on?
Yeah, I watched it a lot with my dad growing up. He was a big football fan. He went to University of Miami. So we were watching, Hurricanes football a lot when I was growing up. And on Friday nights, he would take me up to the local high school, which eventually became the high school I went to watch those games on Friday nights. And it was a bonding experience with my dad, which is why I think it meant a lot to me. But I love the game. We were also big baseball fans growing up, and I think we all can agree that there are big differences between baseball and football. But there was something about the game of football. To me, I actually said this when I was younger, and I still believe it. It's like an aggressive game of chess. And it's more than just people hurling their bodies at each other. I love the strategy behind the game. As I started playing, I think I always knew I wanted to coach it because that's the way I played. I just was always a student of the game and fell in love with the intricacies of the sport that were just so unique. And it is the ultimate team sport, in my opinion. And in the way it brings people together and brings teams together, it's just really special. So, when I was younger, I loved the game. I did not have any idea what my place in the game was going to be. So it's been really kind of fun being on this journey and seeing how my relationship with the game has changed significantly as I've grown and eventually made it my career, which I didn't think was possible. But very fortunate, and it's a game that changed my life and a game that has changed so many lives.
Working with the Jets, I don't want people to get confused. They see me with a Chad Pennington jersey on. Oh no, I haven't switched from the Steelers to the Jets, no. But I wanted to wear the jersey in honor of what the Jets have been doing. The Jets have been involved with flag football since 2011, so this isn't brand new for them. They've been investing a lot of money into this sport.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why for me, this is a big time full circle moment. I interned with the Jets in 2017, and that's when they said they have been involved in flag for a long time, but they also have been involved in getting women in the sport in a professional capacity. So I mean, what better organization to make a move like this and start to bridge that pipeline and that pathway and create opportunities than an organization that's been creating opportunities for girls and women around the sport. So, I was so excited, when I found out that this was happening. And of course, went right into saying yes immediately to being a part of this because I couldn't think of a better group, better organization to do something like this. And they also have been walking the walk for a long time.
14 universities from all three divisions throughout the Northeast will be competing in the inaugural season. Now, Kelly, you and I both know that in order for success to happen, there needs to be some television involved. Will there be some televised games?
Yeah, I mean that's always the hope. Obviously, we want to get this in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So, as this builds and as this grows, the goal there is to be able to create as many access points for people to fall in love with the sport the way that the players and the coaches and obviously all of us have. And I think that that's the nature of where the sport is right now. I think we're getting to a point where you're going to be able to see it everywhere. So yeah, I think the more eyes you can get on the game, the better.
Will there be scholarships for these athletes as they go through in the sport of women's
Yeah.
flag football?
And that's exactly where we are to the point where that's the reality of the conversation that we're having of it's not just the opportunity to play but the opportunity to go play and be fully supported in that. So that's what's really great about this is the way it's going to evolve in front of our eyes, organically because of the nature of the sport and the nature of the people behind the sport and the support behind it. It's growing into, I mean, this is going to be a full-fledged situation where players get, that opportunity.
2028 Olympics, where will we be with women's flag football at that point?
Yeah, I think you're going to see it. It's so crazy to think because when I answer a question like this, I like to think back 2 years and you're kind of, eyes wide open. By the time we get to 2028, obviously you'll have the national teams in that preparation leading up to LA. I think it's going to be in, triple, quadruple as many schools as we're talking about right now. Hopefully we are closer, if not across the finish line, at the high school level to say all 50 states are sanctioned. I think at that point it's a household sport. And to your point, your question earlier, it's a televised sport that you're watching pretty regularly on ESPN or on any other channel that you can click through. I always think that that's going to be such a big moment where when somebody's just doom scrolling, if you will, on TV, they land on flag football as they're searching through channels. So I am so excited. Where we'll be on February 26, 2028 is going to be a really, really impactful place for the sport.
So before I let you go, is there a possibility that in 2028, Callie Brownson could be the head coach of the U.S. Olympic team?
Look, I'm gonna say this because I love our coaches and they're great. No, I think we're in really good hands, and I think the crew that we have right now. So I've actually enjoyed sitting back and kind of being in this administrative operational role and building it, the framework and the player personnel component of it. And we have such great coaches around our national teams right now. Be hard pressed to think that I would need to do that.
So a young gal's watching SportsJam right now, and she says, Callie Brownson, wow, she coached in the NFL. Now she's part of USA football. Can I do this? What do you tell her?
The answer is 100%. And how can we help you get started? That's really what it is.
Callie Brownson doing great work now as the big news is with us that this Championship Collegiate Women's Flag League with the Eastern College Athletic Conference is about to begin. Thanks so much for joining us on Sports Jam. Continued success.
Thank you so much for having me.